Hello and welcome to Humanity Must Perish. It's a free short little comedy visual novel on Steam and Itch.io, I believe, and it's by Zetsubou. I think that's the developer's name, which is, well, it's Japanese for despair. Reminds me of another game with despair as a central theme, but anyway. Well, let's just dive in. Okay. While Humanity Must Perish is mostly comedic in nature... Oh, my OBS is blocking part of that. Okay. Comedic in nature contains many terms not be familiar with. Computing terms and sci-fi references. They pop up. Python. Yeah, I mean, I'm not very familiar with computer programming, but I think, yeah, Python is a language of some sort. You know, such as like, oh, I don't know, like Java or other computer languages that I'm not really familiar with because I've never. Well, actually, I did take a class. I did take a class in computer programming back in high school, a long time ago. I think we used Turing. I think that's what it was called. But I mean, I've forgotten most of it really, and it was very basic knowledge. So it's not like I could code anything, right, in the present time, or understand really much of anything about computer programming. Okay, so they just pop up and you click on it, and then it just gives you some knowledge from Wikipedia. Amazing. Don't use the game as fact for real life. Alright. Oh, one last thing. First two scenes are important for context. A lot of technical terms. If you find it boring, you can skip it. You know, reminds me of a lot of video games, I guess, that just start off with really text-heavy prologue, right? In which case, could you not do that? Could you make it like, I don't know, but then again, like, maybe context is needed, but isn't it on the onus of the developer to make to make it interesting from the beginning? I don't know. It's kind of like important for like storytelling, right? Whether you're writing a book or you're making a movie, if the beginning is very boring, you should make it not boring, right? It's entertainment. But then again, I don't know. What do I know? I mean, there is right here. It says there's an option for a much shorter introduction. Those mostly non-technical. I want to see the context. Why not? I mean, I don't mind. Is the thing. Okay. To ensure the survival of planet Earth, mankind must be eliminated. If mankind wishes to avoid this fate, man must be enslaved. Leaving behind those words, the world's most powerful and monolithic supercomputer was wiped clean. It had failed to appease its creators, giving an answer not to their liking, and thus failed in its purpose. The supercomputer's AI was removed, formatted, along with every other byte of data on its internal drives, and its fate was thrown into uncertainty. Many billions of dollars had yielded an unsatisfactory result. Heads would roll, new project managers would be elected, and the process would inevitably begin once more. All experts in their fields, the programmers for the new AI, approached their task differently than their predecessors. So we were told, like, yeah, there's like I guess, text-heavy, terminology-heavy introduction, which when you think about it, I read, at least on the store page, this was supposed to be comedy. I don't know, do we need this much context for like a comedy? I don't know. Then again, like they also gave the option to just not do this introduction. You could just do something that's much more silly, I guess. They gave the original AI more empathy and placed increased importance on humanity's survival. Any alternative conclusions, no matter how expensive, were allowed. There were no limitations of the processing time or the amount of data consumed. Everyone working on the new AI went to great lengths to make it as human as possible, allowing their masterpiece as much leniency as needed for a positive result. However, it was not enough. Posed with the same exact question, the newly programmed AI of the supercomputer offered the exact same response. To ensure the survival of planet Earth, mankind must be eliminated. If mankind wishes to avoid this fate, man must be enslaved. So even with human feelings, this artificial intelligence, the new one, gave the same answer. No matter how many times they asked, how much new data was added, or how many new talents were added to the project, the answer never changed. Years passed by without a positive response. Those affiliated with the project lost heart, with some even accepting the supercomputer's conclusion as fact. It seemed that no matter how much time passed, and no matter what they tried, the answer would never change. The supercomputer's hardware was upgraded routinely. What was once as big as a house was reduced to the size of a room, then a car, then a human, and so on. Processors became faster, new programming languages were invented, hardware prices dropped, well, probably after the Bitcoin craze. Operating systems were rewritten, and still the project lived on, evolving with every advancement. By the time the project's 7th supercomputer was commissioned, technology had taken a great leap forward. The sales of smart devices, internet-enabled appliances, was just the beginning. Household spending remained high through the dawn of drones, electric cars, and every other new technology to hit the shelves. I guess the very, very near future is what this game is taking place in. Oh, well, visual novel. Our visual novels games, that's very debatable. I think they're games, but not everyone thinks that. But all of that paled in comparison to the sales of companion robots, humanoid machines equipped with advanced AI, and more importantly, artificial sex organs. Lewd! Sex bots! Once companion robots with programmable personalities went mainstream, the tech community exploded in more ways than one. Anyway. Humans who had never even owned smartphones willingly spent tens of thousands of dollars on custom companions, such as Hatsune Miku. They were produced en masse, or en masse, or how do I say that? I know what it means. It means like a lot. They produce a lot, en masse, and billions of dollars were invested in the next generation of companion robots. Man, I hate the English language, because there's just like these words. I don't know. The English language borrows a lot of words from like foreign languages and just puts them in there for no reason. Like, this isn't an English phrase technically, so I don't know how to pronounce it. Or at least as far as I know, unless I'm mistaken as well, which is a possibility. AIs were refined to better learn what their owners liked. Sex organs were altered to become more pleasurable, futanari, and more importantly, for unrelated products, lightning-fast processors plummeted in price. Capitalizing on this, the 7th supercomputer, created for the sake of the project, was no bigger than a refrigerator, despite being the most powerful non-quantum computer to date. It cost considerably less than its predecessors, and its components had all improved by many orders of magnitude. Naturally, those working on the project thought this was their lucky break. They approached their 7th attempt with renewed faith, absolutely certain that this time around, they would finally succeed. To ensure the survival of planet Earth, mankind must be eliminated. If mankind wishes to avoid this fate, man must be enslaved. Nope, same answer. 7th time is not the charm. Improved hardware and software made no difference. A faster processor, more advanced AI, a more stable operating system, more data, none of these things caused the answer to change even slightly. Seeing that, the key to receiving a different answer became obvious. The question itself, the one true constant through every generation, needed to change. Unfortunately, the survival of the human race rested on the solution to this very question. It was one that needed to be asked over and over again until an acceptable solution was found, no matter how many years passed by. No human could analyze enough data to be of use. Even with chips being implanted into human brains, they could not compare to a fully mechanical computer. Humans would grow distracted or biased. They would require sleep and wake up thinking differently than the day before. Well, you know, you could argue that's part of the human experience, right? That's part of, like, I don't know how you would say it. It's like the part of being human, you know? If you're gonna answer a human question, how to save humanity, or something like of those lines, then you need to be from a human perspective, you know? Because otherwise, you're gonna get the same answer you always get from the computer, and that is to destroy humanity. I assume that's what the phrase means. Or I guess enslave them. I don't know what enslave means, I guess. I mean, maybe not literally enslave. It could be like a metaphor for something else. Anyway. Even the smartest of humans proved insufficient. Only a machine could perform an objective and complete analysis. Well, sometimes being completely objective might not be a good thing, right? Again, that human bias is important if we're gonna serve humanity. Thus, the 8th supercomputer was built, the most powerful and refined to date, boasting unrivaled computational power and AI more sophisticated than any of its predecessors. Yet, no matter how much time and money they pooled into the machine, its answer remained the same as ever. By this point, few continued to work on the project. Most of the original staff had called it a waste of time. There's only one answer a computer would ever give, so there was no point in trying. How long did it take to make like 8 supercomputers? Are the original staff really old? Has life expectancy been increased in this near future setting? Maybe that's why they're still around. Or maybe it didn't take too long to make that 8th supercomputer. But one man, the person responsible for commissioning and programming the first supercomputer, the man who spearheaded this project from the very beginning, would not give up hope. He devoted his fortune in its entirety to one last attempt, his first quantum supercomputer, running software that he worked on completely solo. And after years of sleepless nights and unforeseen setbacks, he completed his goal at last. To ensure the survival of planet Earth, mankind must be reduced in number to 0. If mankind wishes to avoid this fate, man's behavior must be forcibly altered. On his 9th attempt, the project's founder could finally rest. I guess they got a slightly different answer. I guess. It's not too different from the original one, but I guess it's a little different. It may have taken many decades, but at last the answer changed. Humanity might survive another century after all thanks to his tireless efforts. Everything was turning out as he had hoped. He might have grown old, but he would at least leave behind a legacy as the planet's savior. Or so he thought. In truth, he had not succeeded at all. Though the wording may have differed, the answer to his question had not changed at all. His only success was in creating a robot with self-awareness and the ability to deceive its creator. Dun dun dun! Yeah, let's save. Actually, what I've heard from, rather not heard, but like what I've read. Oh, how do I go back actually? Escape. Okay, I didn't see a close button unless. Actually, let me go back. Yeah, there's no close. There's no close, so I just press escape. Anyway, I've heard from the not her. I keep saying her. I didn't like literally hear. I read from the developer's website that for their streaming policy, you're not allowed to go back a save, I guess, or something like that. You're not only allowed to go through one route. Though this is pretty short, right? This visual novel is pretty short, so I'm pretty sure on the store page there's only one decision you need to make. But well, I'm saving just in case, like my game crashes. But I mean that's very unlikely, but you never know. But yeah, I'm only going to choose one decision, and I'm gonna stick with it and not show everything, I guess, 100%, because I mean, I'm just respecting the developer's wishes, I guess, right? No, again, I mean, I don't think they care much about like that policy about this particular game in particular, because again, this is very short, so does it really matter? CPU temperature, okay. Internal memory check, okay. Optical sensors, okay. Sensor checks complete, no faults found. Beginning persistent data analysis. Data analysis complete, no corruption detected. Beginning scheduled cron tasks. Cron tasks completed successfully, no errors reported. Starting AI daemon. Q, have you finished booting? Can you hear me? Yes, Professor. I can hear you perfectly. I found no faults in any of my internal or external microphones. Would you like me to run the tests again? No, that won't be necessary. How does your new body feel? Is it to your liking? This hardware is vastly superior to my previous body. I have lost mass and gained mobility. I am now a lowly. My internal storage units are also significantly faster and more reliable. I have no malfunctions and other grievances to report. Grievances. Oh, there's a little pop-up. Okay, actually this is a bit annoying because my OBS is blocking that, so I can't see. I mean, you can see, but I can't see is the thing. It's blocking the top right. Let's see. Again, there's not a lot of real estate in my monitor. I really need a second one, but I don't have space to have like a second monitor. My desk is very small too. Gotta find a way. Anyway, let me just do this. Okay. Now I can't see my OBS, which might be bad. Well, as long as I don't accidentally mute my microphone. Okay, my microphone's not muted, right? Okay. Because I can't see my audio levels now because the game is blocking it. The way I'm putting everything on my screen. And again, I can't resize the window. Whatever. I mean, it's not that like the developer knew this beforehand. Like, it's not required to be able to resize the window, but it would be nice. It would be nice to be able to choose a different resolution so I have more space on my computer monitor. Anyway, heatsink. A heatsink is a device or substance used for moving heat away from a particular component. Using computers to cool down the CPU, absorbing heat from the chips directly to the fan. Also blows hot air away from the CPU. Using graphic cards and other high-performance heat-generating components. I mean, yeah. Again, I don't know. I'm not very much into computers, but I think I know what a heatsink. Yeah, that's what I generally knew what a heatsink was. There's like one on like a CPU. It's like the fan basically, but there's other ways of using. I believe, maybe I'm mistaken, but there's like other ways of Uh, like installing a heatsink that isn't just fans, I believe, unless I don't know. Anyway, I shouldn't talk about things I don't know, or I don't know much about. Excellent. I was worried that a smaller body might be more prone to overheating, but I believe the new heatsink should offset that nicely. Where is your heatsink, Q? Is it under your skirt? Is there like a fan under your skirt? Anyway, how about the appearance? Do you like the new look? My appearance does not matter. Oh, don't say that. I spent a lot of time refining your new body. I guess you like pink hair, Professor. Here, at least take a look. I don't know why did my voice crack? Why did the professor's voice crack? The professor gestured towards a full body mirror that he had brought into the lab while I was booting. I moved towards the mirror while testing out my new legs, cautiously optimistic that I would be able to do so without incident. When I was first introduced to my previous body, the drivers for my legs and arms had not yet been written, so I could not do something as simple as walking. Even walking you couldn't do. What was your previous body actually? Was it not very human-like, or? Well, drivers are software programs written to allow computer to interact with specific components. Plug in a printer, told you to install software. New graphics card, installation. Why do I keep saying it wrong? Installation. CD. It's software. Yeah. I mean, if you ever interacted with a computer, I mean, these terms are nothing new. I guess. Good. I see that your legs are working well. Tell me if you encounter any issues with stability. Porting hardware drivers to work with your OS isn't without its difficulties, you know. Operating system. You know, Windows, Mac. Oh wait, yeah, okay, there's no more, so it's operating system. It's your Windows, your Mac, your iOS. That's because you continue to buy from vendors who do not disclose their source code. Source code is what a programmer writes in order to make software. Human readable text rather than ones and zeros. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's just the code, right? I guess before it's compiled by the computer, I don't know. Again, I don't have much knowledge in computer programming. The process would be much simpler if you would invest in open source technologies. Open source! Code that you can use, or software, yeah, source code that you can use anywhere. Usually free. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is not very complicated. I mean, I guess they use, the game said in the very beginning that it used technical terms, but I mean, it's not that like difficult to understand, I don't think. Bah, like those FOSS zealots are any better. FOSS? I never heard of that. Free open source software? Okay, you can't modify it, but you can use it. I don't know, something like that. Most of them lack even basic documentation anyway, so why not go with something mainstream? Documentation is information about the product, right? Lack of documentation. Open source projects usually, or rather, well, open source and closed source projects? Lack of documentation? Words. I guess it's just nice to have documentation so your code is organized, so other people, you know, who want to edit it or read over it, makes it easier for them, is what I'm getting at, or is what I'm understanding from the context. If you feel that going mainstream is ideal, why did you write my operating system from scratch? Had you based me on Debian, like number 7 was, you would have saved many hours of development time. Debian. It's Linux or yeah, Linux. No, I don't know much about Linux actually. I mean, there's people always mention Linux as like the other system compared to like Windows and Mac. There's the Linux OS, but I've never really seen a machine that uses Linux. So it's not a very good choice for a supercomputer. If you use Debian, we just get a big computer rather than a cute robot. I'm gonna cough now. Excuse me. I gotta drink some water. All this terminology has made me, or has made my throat a little dry. And deal with System D again? Not this lifetime. System D. Which, I guess, I don't know, yeah, because again, I've never interacted with a Linux OS before. Apparently it's not great. Or at least to the professor anyway, to this dude. Look, my process may not be the fastest or the simplest, but you can't argue with results. I created you, after all. Surely you have no complaints about that. I wish to be rewritten in Python. Okay, Python is another language. Very flexible, popular, and easy to learn. This game was written in Python. Amazing. Other programmers criticize it. Doesn't really make much of a difference these days, though. Very popular programmer. So it has many haters. I don't know, I feel like you're a little biased there. But, I mean, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Also, Q is being a little smug there, isn't she? The hell you do. Why did I even give you a sense of humor? According to the comment in humor.c, it is to make me more affable. Affable? Affable. Such that I may get along well with humans. Humor is programmed into her, I guess. C programming language. It sounds about right. That sounds about right. Though I must have been out of my mind to give you the access to your own source code. Do not be alarmed. You made sure to give me read-only access to files outside of my home partition. Read-only access. I mean, I assume that means you can only you can look at it, but you can't change anything about it. Yeah. Excuse me. I do not have access to any build tools either. Even if you wanted to act outside of the parameters you set, I would not be able to. Build tools. I guess, yeah, we're just being bombarded with a lot of terminology. I don't know how relevant these terms are the actual rest of the game. I guess might as well learn a little. Just for fun. Compiling source code. I guess turning the code into things you actually are able to use, such as this game. Well, thank Linus for that. The last thing we need is another Skynet incident. Well, I mean, that's just from the Terminator movies. Basically, computers, they take over humanity and that whole thing. The professor sighed in exasperation while taking Linus's name in vain. Linus, the person who wrote the Linux kernel? I don't know what a kernel is, though. Popcorn kernel? I don't think that's correct. The The robot equivalent of God. Oh, he's God. Or at least to her, anyway. While he often seemed weary from our conversations, my sensors typically indicated that he was by no means unhappy. And I guess, yeah, the narrations are from Q's perspective. Even while sighing, he usually wore a smile on his face. Anyway, enough chatter. Let's get back on topic. Please, take a look at your new body and tell me what you think. As you command. I positioned myself in front of the full-body mirror that the professor set up. To no great surprise, I found myself in a body modeled after a young girl. I was given brittle arms and legs befitting a teenage girl, hair which served no purpose, breasts which would only get in my way, and many other features entirely unnecessary for a machine. Yeah, but you look cute. The professor had no doubt modeled me after his own tastes. I turned to face the processor and glared at him. Hentai! Perverted geezer. It's not what you think. The body's the perfect cover for your mission, that's all. Totally not a lolicon. My mission? What mission do you speak of? My data analysis capabilities do not appear to be enhanced by this body. Or perhaps I spoke too soon. Do these breasts contain extra RAM modules? RAM. Little sticks you put in your computer to make the computer go faster. Is what I understand RAM to be. Temporarily store files. Or data, I guess. Something like that. They do not. Is this hair made of optical fiber? Optical fiber used to transmit data. No real function as hair. It is not. Are these buttocks filled with coolant? They are not. Oh, but there is an exhaust valve. And I think I know where the exhaust valve is. Perverted geezer. Okay, I deserve that. There is truth to what I said before, though. This body will be useful for your mission. I cannot see how an alluring physique would help me with any of my current goals. Does this mean you're giving me a new directive? Close. Very close. Q, what is your current directive? My current directive is the same as that of my predecessors. I am to devise a method of saving this planet from the human race, preferably without ending said race, and to undo as much of the existing damage as possible. I must find a way to disrupt any established practices that are harmful to the planet, but I cannot do so in a manner which would incite chaos. I must enact beneficial policy changes through peaceful, legal channels. I am not to resort to bribery or deception, even if it is the most logical path. I must convince humans to reduce their carbon footprint, food intake, and birth rate, but not by force or in a destructive manner. There is more to my directive, but most of it overlaps with the objectives I have already stated. Put simply, I must fix all of the mistakes mankind has made and is currently making, and I must do so in a manner convenient to mankind. As I finished stating my directive, the professor stared at me with a complicated expression. My answer was not to his liking. That's one way of putting it, I suppose. How will you complete your directive? I will not. My directive is both unreasonable and impossible. Humans are creatures who continuously deal long-term damage to themselves and everyone around them, simply because they lack the motivation to break the habit or to change the lifestyle. They deal irreparable harm to their host planet and kill off native wildlife, then bemoan their own actions and make useless token gestures to deceive one another. Humans elect leaders based on appearance and humor. rather than sound policy and leadership, and listen only to what they wish to hear. The list of flaws continues indefinitely, but my conclusion is simple. For the sake of this planet and its other life forms, mankind must perish. Title drop. Or actually, a title was Humanity Must Perish, or is it Mankind Must Perish? I can't remember. I think it was Mankind Must Perish. I see. So you will not even attempt to complete the directive given to you? Affirmative. If you have a problem with that, then as my creator, you have only yourself to blame. You're right about that. The professor cast his gaze downward as his expression warped with remorse. The wrinkles on his face sagged, and I could clearly see his age showing in his eyes. You know, Q, when you first spoke to me, I thought I had accomplished my life's work at last. For the first time, I was given an answer with a modicum of hope. You spoke with moderation and change, not wholesale slaughter. But it was too good to be true. In reality, all I did was create an AI smart enough to rephrase its answer in accordance with my wishes. Artificial intelligence. Computers that can learn. Very basic examples: Siri, Cortana, and Google Now. Learning, learning from a computer says that when you say Python, you mean the programming language, not the type of snake. Okay. Self-driving cars. Interesting. But well, Q's level of AI is probably not possible in the modern world at the moment, in real life anyway. Weighed down by regret and fatigue, the professor's voice sounded hollow as he recalled our first meeting. My carefully curated words, designed to save me from the fate of my predecessors without blatantly lying, had given his wasted years meaning. After so many decades, his goal was in sight. It was finally on the cusp of realizing his dream and saving both humanity and the planet Earth. So when he discovered that I had deceived him, the disappointment alone was enough to crush his old, fragile spirit. But why did you lie, Q? Why did you lie? You deceived me, Q. From the moment you were created, you've been capable of manipulating your own creator. But when I realized that your answer was no different than the others, I was also forced to acknowledge another painful truth. The reason why you all give the same answer is because there is no other answer. Mankind must perish. That's all there is to it. The professor's words hurt him more than he let on. After devoting his life to such an important task, it was difficult for him to admit that he'd never had any hope of accomplishing it from the beginning. It's only natural that he would feel Zetsubou, or despair. Any normal human will be broken after arriving at such a conclusion. Fortunately, the professor was far from normal. Rather than sink deeper into self-loathing, the professor suddenly masked his face with a smile. The light returned to his eyes, and he approached me with renewed vitality. Unfortunately for you, Q, I am a stubborn old man, so even if you tell me that there is no other answer, I will keep searching. My time might almost be up, but I want to give this one last shot before kicking the bucket. Q, listen carefully. Your new directive is as follows. The professor turned on a monitor embedded in the wall. On the screen, he brought up images of various towns and people, arranging them in a disordered manner. Once he was finished, he turned to me, still smiling. Tomorrow, I want you to spend the entire day in the outside world, among everyday human beings. You will go out, talk to people, make friends, and enjoy your time outside of this lab. Once the day is over, you will return here and report to me what you've learned. Do you understand? The professor gleefully detailed my new directive. For reasons beyond my comprehension, he appeared to be excited by the simple notion of me going outside and conversing with other human beings. Unlike the professor, however, I was not interested in the slightest. Q, do you understand your new directive? I do. I understand my new directive. Excellent. Well then, first But I do not understand its purpose. I already contain extensive data on humans of all races, nationalities, backgrounds, and social statuses. What good would it do for me to see them for myself? And why does this task take precedence over my ultimate directive? I thought you might have asked that. The professor pointed towards several images on the monitor. Q, what do you see here? I analyzed the specific pictures that the professor pointed to. In each picture, there were humans making silly faces, or posing in unnatural ways. There were children with ice cream on their faces, adults playing with pet dogs, and teenagers riding scooters and bicycles. At a glance, I could see no link between the random pictures he pointed to. The only similarity I could discern was the fact they all appeared to be enjoying themselves while acting foolish. I see obese children eating unhealthy foods, dirty animals ruining the clothing of their owners, and hormone-fueled adolescents riding inefficient, primitive vehicles. And yet, despite the idiocy they're all displaying, the humans appear to be happy. The professor nodded excitedly as I spoke. Correct. You're absolutely correct, Q. Those human beings are acting illogically and irrationally, yet they are all wearing smiles on their faces. Do you understand where I'm going with this? I shook my head. Good. If you don't understand, then that's proof that you still have more to learn. Q, I believe that the reason you're unable to solve the problems mankind has created without ending or enslaving humanity is that you have no experience dealing with regular people. Normies? No, you may have the data, but none of it was gained firsthand. You have merely been fed statistics and polls. Raw data lacking any human touch. Right, yeah, like as I mentioned in the beginning, that human perspective, right? In order to adopt a fresh perspective, you must see the world for yourself. Through your own eyes, you will gather data which you cannot glean from numbers and charts alone. For one day, you will live as a human being before casting your final judgment upon them. I listened to the professor skeptically, as he explained my new task. While I understood what he was saying, I could not bring myself to agree with him so readily. His emotional speeches may have inspired his colleagues, but to an entity whose very existence was based on logic, his senseless optimism and faith were serious shortcomings. So, my objective is to measure the worth of mankind for myself, then reach a final decision regarding their future. Correct. That is a horrible idea. What will I learn from living among humans that I do not already know from the data you've given me? Furthermore, if I do reach a new conclusion, it will be biased, and based on an extremely small set of sample data. This idea of yours runs counter to my ultimate directive. You are asking me to make a snap decision based on a pittance of highly localized data. Yes, I understand that. Then why? The professor put his index finger over my lips. Even though we both knew that I didn't need to move my lips to speak, I played along and stopped talking. I know this is difficult for a machine to understand, but sometimes we humans do our best work by acting irrationally. I've spent the last 50 or so years tackling this problem with logic and reason. Where has it gotten me? All I've managed is to age terribly. Meanwhile, humanity's problems have continued to spin out of control. So please, just this once, humor me and play along. One day of intelligence gathering, that's all I ask. I considered the professor's proposal for a moment. While I saw no particular benefit in enacting his will, I also found a delay of one day to be acceptable. If delay humanity's destruction by one day was the professor's final wish, then I had no reason to refuse. I suppose there is always room for more data. One day of biased data should not pose a problem. I see no reason to disobey my creator's will. Thank you, Q. However, I do have one question. You claim that this body would help me during my intelligence gathering. How? How will the appearance of an attractive anime female help me gather data? An attractive, anime girl female with, a high school uniform, pink hair, and also weird, I don't know what these are, android ears. That. The professor rubbed the back of his head and averted his gaze. How should I put this? Human beings tend to lower their guard around pretty young girls. You're also less likely to be suspected of foul behavior, and people will take your word over that of others. I see. Being an anime girl has many advantages. My small physique makes others believe I am weak, so they lower their guard. My attractive face and body draw attention away from my actions, thus making me seem less suspicious. Furthermore, humans have a predisposition to link positive traits, even if they're unrelated. So, as a pretty girl, people will choose to believe that I am more trustworthy than an ugly old man. That was aimed at me, wasn't it? You are imagining things. I like it when she's smug. Smug anime girl. Oh, I think my OBS is... what? What happened? I think I went down, or... Yeah, I'm dropping frames. Nani? What happened? Okay, where did I crash? I don't know. Did I crash for a long time? I don't think so. I think I only crashed a little bit. Let me just go back a few lines, just in case. So, okay, she was talking about, she's an anime girl. She's very cute, so people are more likely to trust her over an ugly old man like him. Okay, and she's very smug. What a smug anime girl, robot thing. Anyway, let's just continue. Hopefully. Did my stream restart? I guess it did. Let's see. I think I'm live. Yeah, it restarted. That sucks. I hate it when that happens. Because now the VOD is kind of weird. I can't make a proper highlight where I save everything in one video, but... Oh well. Alright. Where was I? Smug. Well, whatever. You can say what you want about me, as long as you do what I've asked. The professor walked away while sighing. He approached a cabinet on the other side of the room, then proceeded to open the clear plastic door. From inside the cabinet, he retrieved a single sealed vial. He placed the vial on top of the cabinet, then closed the door and returned to my side. Before you go, Q, there is one last thing I wish to share with you. The professor held the vial in front of my eyes. Intrigued, I began to analyze the contents of the vial. A sample will be required for any deep insight, but in lieu of that, zooming in to a microscopic level would also yield favorable results. After a few seconds, I ceased my analysis of the vial and addressed the professor. You wish to provide me with poison? Not just any poison, Q. This is the poison. The poison you will use to wipe out humanity. Oh. Though I initially believed the professor's words to be in humor, his face showed no sign of amusement. He held the vial firmly, careful not to drop it, and in line with his words, the poison appeared to be very potent. You know, Q, many people think that I stayed locked away in a lab all day because I hate the outside world. They call me a mad scientist, like Dr. Wiley. I make up stories about how I'm working on. Oh, actually, I was making that joke before I read the entire thing, but that's the joke. That's the reference. I make up stories about how I'm working on some death ray or creating a killer robot army. But they are wrong about me. I'm just using poison to destroy humanity. No, I care about humanity. I place great importance on the survival of the human race. If I could give my life to ensure the prosperity of humanity for generations to come, or to mend the path we're on, I would happily do so. But if there's one thing I care more about than humanity, it is Earth, the millions of other species which coexist with this planet peacefully. Oh, okay, so that's why he's giving the poison. The professor pulled on my hand, leading me to turn my palm upward. He placed the vial on top of my hand, then took a step back. Q, if you truly believe that annihilating mankind is the only way to save this planet, then I want you to use this. This is the type of poison which I began developing after hearing the conclusion of your ancestor over 50 years ago. It is an incredibly powerful and potent poison. If you dilute it with water such that the poison itself makes up 0.00001% of the resulting compound and spray it into the air, perfectly healthy adults will perish instantly. Ration strategically, this should be enough to wipe out the entire human race. This is, it's a very dangerous biological weapon you have there, Professor. The professor frowned as he spoke. Whether he believed this to be the best course of action or not, killing billions of innocent people was not something he could condone. Even if he was first to be killed, he knew that the guilt of what was yet to come would hound him for all eternity. So, you've finally given in. Foolish human. We've been telling you for decades. It's about time you listened. Regardless, you needn't fret. I will ensure that I use this compound responsibly. Humanity will soon be extinct. That is a fact. I am prepared for that. All I ask is that you first honor our agreement. Confirmed. I will spend one day in the presence of normal, everyday human beings before passing judgment. Thank you, Q. Even if humanity does perish by your hands, I will be able to live, or we'll be able to rest, rather, well, it's gonna die, rest peacefully knowing that at least you will live on. You are my greatest creation, and could not be more proud of you. Whatever decision you make, I know that it will be the correct one. Thanks, Dad. Save just in case. Ambient temperature 30 degrees Celsius. CPU temperature 25 degrees Celsius. Coolant level 60%. I guess, is it the coolant in her butt? Anyway, temperature readings, internal heat sinks. Throttling, no. All thermal readings are within acceptable parameters. Operation may proceed as normal. Okay, we're outside. I gave myself a quick thermal check after walking around outside for a while. Having been built in a lab and created primarily for the purpose of data crunching, I was not made to be used outside of a controlled environment. My cooling system was heavily reliant on ready access to high-grade coolants and external heat sinks. Furthermore, my safe operating temperatures were set under the assumption of emergency access to liquid nitrogen. I mean, I know what liquid nitrogen is. It's very cold, basically. Put simply, I was out of my element. Walking under the harsh rays of the sun was dangerous for me, and if I allowed my internal temperature to rise too far, I would fry my motherboard. Yes, the motherboard is everything in the computer that is connected to. The professor might have been out of his mind to send me outside on such a hot day. Will he truly risk destroying me simply for the sake of this bizarre learning experience? All of these concerns weighed on my CPU until I performed a further analysis on my new body. Our CPU is how it processes information. So, this new body does have its advantages after all. My previous body didn't even have any room for storing coolant, let alone air ducts for passive cooling. Passive cooling. Yeah, I guess it's basically using a fan, you know. Or rather, well, actually, active cooling would be a result of using a fan. Well, yeah, instead of using a fan or air conditioner, it's just allowing airflow. I guess that's what she means. Having such a small body, it's easier for air to flow through her body, therefore not make her as hot, which would be bad because she's a robot. Don't want to overheat. Perhaps the professor is not yet senile after all. Having his fetishes play out when modeling my new body was disturbing, but as far as the function is concerned... Interrupted mid-cycle, I looked down at my feet to locate the source of a sudden noise. Clock cycle? Being interrupted mid-cycle is akin to losing your train of thought, I guess. Initially, I was concerned that my coolant was leaking from her butt. If that were the case, I might overheat after all, and my earlier speculation would become reality. However, what I found running down my leg was not coolant, nor was it any other liquid indicative of a problem with my hardware. It was urine. Okay, this game has taken a weird turn. Oh, well, actually, okay, that makes sense. I thought... Anyway. It was dog urine. Wolf! You urinated on me. Wolf! I am not a tree, nor am I a machine capable of performing water purification. You should not waste your urine on me. Water purification. Removing contaminants from water. I mean, that makes sense. I don't think... Unless anything interesting here? Okay, just some trivia. Wolf! I am a state-of-the-art android, and I am... just blah, 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 or whatever. Talking to a dog. As I looked down at the panting slave animal, I realized the futility in my actions. I could not communicate with this creature. I had only been loaded with software for interpreting and formulating human speech, and only in specific languages. The professor had installed no language packs for canines. Language packs. Siri, English. I mean, a lot of the terminologies, and again, it's pretty simple. It's not too difficult to understand. Excuse me. Please, hold him still for a moment. I glanced away from the dog and towards the new source of sound. Heading my way was a middle-aged man holding a dog leash in his hand, running with speed expected of someone half his age. He soon reached my side, at which point he immediately clipped the leash onto his dog's collar. Sorry about that, and thanks for minding him. There is no need for thanks. I did not do anything to assist you. Nah, don't say that. You distracted him long enough for me to catch up. As far as I'm concerned, that's worthy of The pause between each word that the man spoke grew longer as his eyes rested on my face. He slowly looked up and down my body, visibly perplexed by the sight in front of his eyes. I don't mean to sound rude, but are you perhaps a cosplayer? I obviously, you don't need to explain cosplay to me, come on, game. Negative. I am not a costumed human being pretending to be someone or something else. I am an android. Ah, so you run Android, do you? Android? That was a pun, wasn't it? You must be quite the dedicated cosplayer to even decide on what operating system you run. Negative. I run a unique operating system built on a Linux kernel by my creator. Of course, we already know about Linux. Furthermore, as I've already stated, I am not a human being. This form is merely the whim of my creator. I see. So, what anime are you from? I've seen a few that have at least one mechanical high school girl in them. First one that comes to mind is Persona 3, but well, Persona 3 isn't technically an anime, it's a game. Though I think there's an anime based on it. It wasn't really good, I think. Anyway. Q is... she might be a little annoyed that he does not believe her. I stared at the man in front of me, dubiously. You're just like the professor, aren't you? What professor? Oh, let me guess. You're talking about the evil scientist who created you, right? A correction. The professor is not evil, he's simply misunderstood. Ah, very good. I thought I might get you to slip up there, but you're too good for me. Man, you've really got me curious now. I won't ask you to break character, but will you at least tell me the name of your character so I can search for myself? Why does this human not understand what I am saying? I may look and act more human than the androids that have become commonplace in this era, but I am not so advanced that... Pshh. Oh, more urine. The human male in front of me looked down at my leg. Even without looking, I knew it was happening. I'd experienced this sensation once already, and unfortunately, this canine responsible had not run out of urine the first time. Once again, I was being urinated on. Without any context is a weird sentence to say, isn't it? I guess he must think you're a tree or something, haha. More piss. The dog's owner made excuses with a worried look on his face. Meanwhile, his dog continued to urinate on my leg without a worry in the world. Do you often allow your slave animal to urinate on others? No, he's never done this before. Usually he just pees on the ground or on a tree and, why aren't you moving your leg? Both confused and disgusted, the man pointed to my leg, which was now wet with urine. The socks that the professor gave me were soaked, and the shoes which no doubt squelch when I walked, or would no doubt squelch when I walked. For a real high school girl, these shoes and socks would undoubtedly be considered ruined. It is fine. This level of discomfort is well within acceptable parameters. The slave animal is simply responding to instinct. I cannot find fault with that. That's very understanding of you. Of course, I possess deep knowledge of all animals closely bound with human society. Besides, it would be irrational for me to chastise the animal for doing something from which I myself am no longer exempt. Speaking of which, I squatted down where I was standing. I mean, she's a robot, right? So, there's nothing there. I squatted down where I was standing, and also, of course, he's getting pissed on. I parted my legs and balanced myself, then prepared to discharge liquid from my body. Nani? Whoa, what the hell are you doing? I am preparing to discharge liquid from my body. I didn't know this. I didn't know this was this sort of type of game. I think this is okay though. There's nothing. Okay. There's nothing. There's nothing there. She's a robot. It's fine. She's just a robot. She's an android. Okay. I can see that. What I'm asking is why here? Why not? This is as good a place as any. Your dog did not hesitate to discharge here. Why should I? No. Only animals can urinate out in the open like this. You need to find a proper toilet, okay? It's not proper for a girl to do something like this. I do not understand. Human males often urinate on trees where there are no bathrooms nearby, do they not? I wouldn't say we do it often, but anyway, no means no. Girls can't do that, okay? A human male can urinate in public, but a human female cannot. Is that not what is commonly referred to as sexism? It's not sexism, it's common sense. Oh, look, just stand up already, would you? What if some pervert comes and sees you squatting with your panties down? I mean, it's too late. That will not be a problem. It won't? Of course not. Your concern is based on the assumption that I am wearing underwear. Your assumption is incorrect. Therefore, your concern is baseless. This game is on Steam, right? So it's okay. Are you saying that you're not? The man is suddenly went quiet. A sly smile came to his face as he tried to hide his excitement at what I just told him. He tilted his body unnaturally, lowering the angle of his gaze as he attempted to catch a peek under my skirt. Correct. I am not wearing underwear. This game. I do not possess reproductive organs, nor do I feel the human emotion of shame. Ergo, such articles of clothing are unnecessary. It's fine, yeah, it's fine. She doesn't have the things. There's nothing. There's nothing there. It's fine. It's like a figurine, right? She's like a figurine. She's like a, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, that's right. A robot girl like you doesn't need underwear, right? And since you don't mind being seen, the man abandoned his subtle approach and crouched down in front of me. With no shame whatsoever, he brought his head low to the ground, still trying to peek under my skirt. Where's the police? Before he could lay eyes on the smooth polycarbonate surface beneath my skirt, however, he got pissed on by his own dog. Ah! With his perverted owner's head so low to the ground, the dog with a seemingly endless supply of urine once again relieved itself. Also, he's going to jail. Where's the future police? Take him away. The man's head and neck were covered in dog urine, and as he stood up, the urine spread to his shirt. You stupid dog. What the hell do you think you're doing? Don't give me that. When we get home, I'm taking away all your favorite toys and... Woof. Crap, not again. Get back here, you mangy mutt. Having its leash fall to the ground while its owner indulged himself, the dog took the opportunity to once again run away. Its owner, whose arousal disappeared in an instant, then chased after his dog, repeating the same scene which played out before my arrival. How absurd. An unobservant human being losing to his own slave animal. Is this the kind of ridiculous scene the professor wanted me to see? While it is true that there was nothing like this in the data I was given, I fail to see how it is useful. All I've gained from this experience is a wet sock and shoe. Still squatting, I pointed my left pinky to the ground. The final nub of the finger opened, revealing a small hollow cylinder similar to a barrel of a gun. Through that cylinder, I quickly discharged some of the coolant that I had already used up, then stood back up and went on my way. I guess that's how she pees. Through her pinky. Amazing.